I'm Eleni, and this is the Mamamoo podcast, a podcast I created in 2019 because I wanted to learn more about the lives of the women and mothers of Cyprus, from family life and mental health to political discourse and basic rights. This is the podcast that covers most of what you need to know about living and working in Cyprus. And speaking of work, today's episode, just like last week's, focuses on women and their careers. Unlike last week, however, where mothers and their attempts to balance work and life were at the forefront, today we're talking about going solo, freelancing, working for yourself, and creating an environment where you can operate successfully and productively. My guest is a dear old friend and former colleague, Zoe Christodoulides. We used to work with Zoe at a local English language newspaper many moons ago. I left after I had Georgie, my first baby boy, in 2011, and Zoe went on to become head of content and creative content director at Action Global Communications, where she was responsible for creating, planning, and editing digital and print content for businesses from sectors such as travel and tourism to healthcare and education. So, yes, you guessed it. Today we are talking about content creation, branding, and communication, but also time management and starting late in life. With some help from Zoe, who after many years has now started her own little business, providing clients across industries and time zones with a professional and tailored service that will ensure their message reaches the level it deserves. Most of us know what the online world looks like today and how scary it is, especially when you're trying to communicate your compelling content or your fresh new product or service. It ain't easy, and that's where people like Zoe come in. So, on with the show. Right. I'm really happy that you're here.
I'm very happy that I'm here too.
I'm so happy that you're here. Not just because we go back many years. Many years. But also because I've been obviously following what you've been doing all this time. And I feel that it is relevant to me and to my audience as well. Because everything is about content.
Yeah, pretty much everything is
about content. Everything is about what you put out there. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we're talking branding and identity and all that is that you see when you open a device and you look into someone. Mm-hmm. But then there's a lot behind the scenes as well.
Of course.
Of what goes on. So that's where I want you to elaborate a bit on. But let's start with the mega change that you have made in your life recently. Mm-hmm. Leaving your job.
Yes, indeed.
And flying solo.
Yes.
Which is scary as fuck.
It is scary as fuck.
But you're doing it.
I am doing it. It's been 1 year now.
All right. So why did that shift happen?
Okay. So first of all, I'll tell you a little bit. I was working as a journalist with you for about 9 years.
Can imagine how fun it was.
It was probably one of the best times of my life.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah, it was amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. And then I went to work in a comms company for 9 years. And I had a great 9 years. I was head of content and then creative content director. So I was working on all sorts of projects, delivering content to clients, whether that was magazines, blog articles, web content, etc. And overseeing a small department. And, you know, I had absolutely amazing experiences. I met some great people, worked with great people. Really, really loved my job.
And you were responsible for one of the bigger and really absolutely fantastic initiatives, which was the Cyprus Insider.
I was, yes.
That was just, phew.
I was editor of my Cyprus Insider. We created the website with the team there at Action Global Communications. I was also responsible for editing various magazines for hotels, the Cyprus Airways in-flight magazine, and many other publications. And, you know, I absolutely loved my job.
Okay, so what happened then?
I never, ever, ever imagined that I would go off to work alone. I really didn't. Yeah, no. I didn't. I was always one of those people that was, in fact, I just, you know, I'm the kind of person that loves security. I love my comfort zone. I felt like the people that I was working with mostly, I mean, I'm not saying, of course, you go through your difficult moments and through your disagreements, but, you know, I was happy. It was like a little community. Then COVID struck. And honestly, when COVID first hit and they said you have to work from home, I was one of the few people that kept going into the office. I remember it was me, my manager, and one more girl, one friend. And we sat there and we're like, okay, we're just going to be coming in every day. We don't care.
Okay.
Because I didn't even understand the concept, working alone from home. That just felt totally strange. And then I started saying, well, let me try this out. And then I got used to it. And then I thought, you really can work from anywhere. You really can take your laptop and work in a cafe or sit by the beach if you want to, or, you know, and I was like, this is interesting. And I kind of became used to that new routine. So that was one element. And
I just want to say that we are going to go back on ways to manage working from home.
Yes, because it's not easy.
Because it's not easy, no. Exactly. So we are going to come back to that.
We'll go back to that, yeah. So that was one aspect. And then there was another aspect where, you know, and my old bosses are fully aware of this, that I got to a point where I felt that I needed to grow in a different way. You know, I'd sort of reached my full potential within the company at that point, and I was ready to start a different chapter.
Was that something that slowly crept up on you, or was it just an epiphany one day you woke up?
It was something that very slowly crept up on me, and it was on the back of my mind. And I remember looking at other people online and thinking, I quite like their lifestyle. They seem to be working alone and working on their own brand and with their own clients. And I was like, I wonder if that could work. But then I always felt this insecurity of, well, but what would I do without a permanent salary? What if it didn't work? You know,
the realism came into the picture.
Exactly. Yeah. The realism came into the picture. And then as time went by, so I was 38, turning 39, and I just said to myself, you know, okay, so I have this idea in my mind that I want to work for myself with my own clients, do my own thing. If I don't do it now and I wait, I'm not saying you can't do it later. You can be 45, you can be 50, you can be 55, but it becomes more difficult.
Okay.
I think you become more scared. It's harder to leave your comfort zone, etc. So I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? What is the absolute worst thing that can happen? I try it. It doesn't work. Will I starve? No, I won't starve. I have my partner. I have my family. I'll have food on the table, a roof over my head. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, I'll have to be very careful with my spending money. But okay, so be it. I'll survive. And I can always find another job after that. At least I've said, I've done it. At least I can be proud. I remember thinking to myself, would you rather get to 80 years old and think, I wish I had tried it, and say, I tried it and it didn't work? Or would you rather just say, I never tried it?
Yeah.
I'd rather say I tried it and it didn't work. I would rather.
Well, I'd like to chime in here, and I want to see if there's a common thread in this. And that common thread, maybe it's age. All right.
Yes.
Right. So hear me out. Along the same lines of what you just said now, me thinking I really want to do this bloody podcast. I literally wake up every morning itching to do this thing that I don't even know what it is because I've never done it before. Like you've never freelanced before.
Nope.
You had this steady job for 9 years. Me obviously being in the comfort of my home, being a stay-at-home mom with my kids. Why would I want to go out looking for trouble now?
Yeah.
But it was there and it was nagging me. And for me, it wasn't so much the financial part. For me, it was more putting myself out there. So expressing my opinions, just being an opinionated woman was something that was like, Eleni, that's not going to go down well. And there were times when it didn't go down well. But obviously where we are now and seeing this, something worked. But I often say that I don't think that this is a move that I would have felt comfortable doing in my late 20s or in my early 30s. So my question to you is, do you feel that age has something to do with it? Because you mentioned your age as well. So we're along the line, same ages. Yeah.
100%. 100%. I would not have done this when I was 29, 30 years old. I wasn't mature enough or confident enough to put myself out there in the world and say, this is me. This is what I offer. Let's work together. I needed that security of a company. I'd always had that security since I was 22 years old. I am Zoe Christodoulides, head of content of that company. I needed that. And, it's really scary to go out in the world and present yourself to potential clients and say, this is me.
And I have no team.
I have no team.
No backup, no big company behind me.
Nope.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is me. But what I did do before I left, so I had this sort of, like you said, niggling feeling inside. And I always believe that you have to trust your gut. I would go into work, and although it was secure and familiar and I was happy in many ways, in other ways I was unhappy. I wasn't giving as much as I felt that I should be giving. I mean, I don't think anyone else realized. In fact, until the day that I handed in my resignation, I tried to give everything I could, but I was trying. I wasn't doing it naturally. There was something that was elsewhere and needed to do something else. So from the point that I felt that, I was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. Yeah. I have to go off and do that other thing. The confidence that I felt, not to say that I didn't feel insecure in any way because I was scared, but I felt confident to know that I can do this. I can go out there alone. I can set my thing up. And I actually sat and wrote all the reasons why I believed that a client would want to work with me. I wrote,
wow.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Very hard. And I sat and wrote every single reason. Every reason. My passion, my experience, the fact that I'm disciplined, the fact that I'm friendly and accommodating. I wrote everything down, not because I want to sing my own praises, but because of the fact that I was trying to beat my insecurity. And I was like, okay, pretend you're an outsider. Pretend you're an outsider, step out from the situation and say, why would someone want to work with Zoe? What does Zoe have to give?
Okay.
And I wrote all those things down, and I would look at them every single day until I felt confident enough to say, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Okay. Was that one way that you were trying to fight any self-doubt? Where does self-doubt come into this, and how much did it affect?
100%. There's always self-doubt, as in I didn't doubt the quality of my work. I didn't doubt my passion or what I can give give clients, but I did doubt whether, there's many times I thought, well, hang on a second, why would someone come to me? There's other content writers out there. There's other copywriters out there. There's other editors. Maybe they'll use someone abroad. There's thousands of people. Why are they going to choose me?
Yeah.
What if I don't have enough work, And yeah, it's very difficult.
It can be crippling.
Yeah, it's very difficult. But the most important thing you have to do is then think about, well, why would someone choose you?
Flip it. Look at it from the other side.
Exactly.
Instead of from the negative side.
Exactly.
Flip it. And
Flip
look at
it. So what is the value that you're bringing? So, just as an example, for other people listening that might want to try and do the same sort of thing, I looked at myself and I said, yes, there are many content writers, copywriters, okay, not so many in Cyprus that provide English language content and editing services. But what do I have to bring to the table? Well, okay, I have certain experience that other people don't have. They might have that experience in a different field, in a different industry.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the editing experience that I have in the travel and tourism sector. Not everyone has lived in Cyprus for so many years in order to be able to provide local insights. Let's say it's a hotel and they want someone that's going to write their content. I mean, I was editor of My Cyprus Insider. All those things are something that they would draw someone towards me, for example. And that's just looking. And then I looked at my portfolio. I thought, okay, well, it's not just that. I've done work for property developers. I've done work for companies promoting consumer goods. I mean, I looked at.
So you were zeroing in on very specific points
exactly
that would work as strengths
exactly
for you. And
also looking at the fact that all these years, even if I was working for another company, I was cultivating trust with my clients. So that same trust, they knew that hopefully they would find it if I was also working for myself. So all the things that make me Zoe, it's not just about my work. And this is something really, I think it's really, really important. There are many content writers out there.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone has the same characters you do or that they specialize in the same thing. Someone said to me the other day, they're like, are you afraid of competition? And I said, not really. I think
I get that question often. I get that question. And you're right. Because whenever someone does say to me, aren't you afraid of competition? There might be a mum who's going to start a podcast. And it's fine because I know that what I do and what I offer can't really be replicated.
Exactly.
To the point where what I'm offering, someone else can offer
exactly.
as well.
Number one, it's a free market. Competition is very healthy. Healthy competition might make you, and I've done it before. I've seen someone's website. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And they offer that service. Maybe I should do that too. You're inspired by other people. Second of all, what they do and what they do well is slightly different to what you do and what you do well.
Yeah.
It's a different identity. You're bringing different values to your work. So, no.
It's a different, you could say that, even when we say the word voice, your voice.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be the same voice, but there still will be a different texture to it.
Exactly.
A different nuance of experience. Yeah?
Yeah, and if someone, for example, I'm just trying to think of an example. There might be someone that's absolutely brilliant at writing text for fintech companies.
Okay.
That's their thing. That's what they do. That's great. It's not generally what I specialize in. There's space for everyone.
So it's not really a competition.
Exactly.
Is it really? I'm really interested in what you said about identity. So how much of what we produce. And, when we say content creators, what I want to say is that we're not just talking about people like me who write and post things. It could be your service, something that you're offering, or a product that you're selling. How much does identity have to do with the way I present my service or my product or who I am?
I think it's huge. It's absolutely fundamental. No matter what you're doing, no matter whether you're working for yourself, no matter what industry you're in, no matter whether you're one person or 5 people, the most important thing, let's say you're starting out, the most important question is to ask yourself, what is my identity? What makes me, my service, my product unique? Carve out that niche. What's my unique selling proposition? Why would someone come to me and choose to come to me? Whether that's my restaurant or, to buy my handmade pottery, whatever it is that you do. If you don't know that, and if you haven't thought about that and really, really sort of honed in on it to carve your unique identity, your own authentic voice, you'll be lost afterwards.
Is that easy to do though? Or do you need guidance? I mean, is that where you come in sort of thing? Would you guide someone to find out their what and their why?
Yes. I mean, if someone, for example, it depends on the kind of company. If it's a big company and they have a marketing team, they already know these things. Okay. And they come to me and they say, we would like you to write the content for our website. They already have brand guidelines. They have their identity. They might have been established now for many, many years. Not necessarily meaning that they should never make some tweaks and changes.
Okay. So rethink something.
Rethink certain things because times change.
Yeah, obviously.
Things that are important today, like CSR, ECG, like it never used to be. So things change. But overall, yes, if someone feels confused and they're just starting out and they want to create a small website, start sharing on social media, that is something that I could do. Help them define that identity and how they will communicate that. Because that's the second thing. So you've figured the first part out with certain key questions that I would ask. But then we also need to look at your target audience. Because I've noticed that there are a lot of people, I think, sharing online without really, really thinking about who they're talking to.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head of everything that's going wrong in this country right now. Communications is a big thing. It's something that I feel that we haven't learned how to do. It's a craft, it's a skill that needs work, it needs practice, and we're not doing it. I mean, we're talking about people that are governing this bloody country, and they can't get their message through because communication is just not something that they've worked on.
Or the opposite. They're brilliant communicators. They've got the gift of the gab.
But
you're
right.
They don't actually know what they're fundamentally saying and what their beliefs are.
Yeah. So there are the two
exactly
far right and far left on this
exactly.
as well. Yeah.
And that's something that brings us back to a certain point that people these days crave authenticity. They want something that's authentic. If you are communicating something and it is not authentic, it doesn't reflect an authentic ethos, authentic values, they won't really buy into it.
Am I going to make your life really hard right now if I ask, what do you mean by being authentic? Because even that, I think that in the chaos that is the internet, even that at times, I mean, I get people saying a lot to me, we love you because you're authentic. And I often think, does that mean because I say fuck and shit a lot? And I admit how hard motherhood is, that being authentic? What does being authentic mean?
Oh,
see, I told you I'd make your life hard.
That's a very, very good question. But if we take you as an example,
Okay.
Mamamoo is a reflection of Eleni Antoniou.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of your values, of the things that you care about in the world, of the things that you want to communicate. Mm-hmm. You are not, as Eleni Antoniou, going to, I don't know, let's just say that there's something major going on social media and everyone's talking about it and it's trending. But you don't believe in it. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. You don't care. You're not going to do a podcast on it. You're not going to say, let me put that into my agenda because I'll get more
clicks, likes,
more likes, more people tuning in. Because the people that do follow you for what you are and who you are, the companies that do sponsor you for who you are and what you are going to say, Mamamoo is a bit mixed up now. It's a bit confused. What's the identity of Mamamoo?
Okay, so that's what you mean by being authentic.
That is one way of looking at it.
So sort of like sticking to what you know, what you like, what you feel passionate about.
Yeah, not necessarily sticking to what you know and what you like, because then that would be implying that someone would never grow and never learn or never be open to new things. But it means sticking to the things that you feel reflect your brand values.
Okay.
Your brand ethos, your brand vision. What are you trying to offer? What is it that you want people that are listening to take from Mamamoo?
Okay.
What do you want to make that person feel when they're sitting on the couch after a long day and they're listening to you? What are they taking away from this?
Well, I always feel that, you know, you have to, for me, because we're giving me as an example, I have to make sure that the time that person has invested into listening to me or reading my posts or watching my stories is actually either informative or educational in any way, or, you know, pushing towards a more critical thinking point of view of something. Yeah.
So you're encouraging people to reflect, maybe to challenge the status quo, maybe to raise awareness about certain issues that are not necessarily given the attention or visibility that they should be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that without even realizing it, if you go back through all your podcasts, you'll see that is actually that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's been a common thread. I might have, you know, gone off on rants at times and in other directions, but at the core of it, you're right.
The thing is, I would usually encourage brands not to try and do too much. And I'll give you a very, very silly example.
Okay.
But have you ever passed by a restaurant and it says something like fish and chips and steak? And you sort of think, fish and chips and steak?
Yeah.
Well, they're surely not going to be good either at making fish and chips or steak.
You're right. You're 100% right.
I don't want to come... no, that's put me off.
Yeah.
Because what do you specialize in? Fish and chips, steak? Neither, probably.
Yes.
Or Chinese and Mediterranean cuisine. Well, that's not really going to...
That's a brilliant example.
So when you think of it like that, you have to... And I'll give you another example. Clients have come to me and they've said, would you be able to help us with our whole marketing strategy? And I say, no, because that's not what I specialize in. I specialize in one part of that. I can help you with your content marketing, but I can't help you with A, B, C, D, you know, and I'll go through the points with them and I'll say, if you do need help with that, then I would suggest going to a comms agency or going to da. And, you know, a couple of clients might sort of say, okay, and never call back. But other clients will come back and say, okay, we want you for this aspect. We want you for what you specialize in. And other clients say, but don't you also do Greek content? And I say, look, I will not deliver the same standard of work in Greek. I can write basic Greek, but that, you need someone that's going to be able to leave a lasting impression and make audiences connect with that Greek content. You need a professional Greek content writer. And I will pass on the number of someone. If you try and do too many things, I feel that you're losing the essence of what you're really good at. That's not to say you can't offer many services, but they need to be within one, within a given scope.
Okay.
Especially if you're one person. It's different if you have a company and, there's 50 people and they each have their unique specialization. Then, of course, you can offer more things.
So the one person thing. Yeah. We said that earlier as well. And obviously, we're now speaking as two women who are on their own. So whatever, and I often say this, everything and anything that you see coming out from my social media as Georgie's mummy or from my mamo is just me.
Yeah.
There is literally not a single other person doing anything else behind the scenes. The same goes for you. So I want to hone in a bit on that. So if someone's listening right now and they're like, I've got this idea and I want to do this thing, but it's just me.
Yeah.
What are the main things or main priorities, if you like, that person has to make?
Okay. There's so many different aspects. Okay. First of all, if we go back to the idea of communicating your brand and your identity, after you've thought about your, what makes you authentic, your value, and you've thought about your target audience, etc. And we've said if you can't do it alone, reach out to a professional who can help you with that. And then you've got to make sure you've got you've got to cover the groundwork. You can't start something alone and expect people to come to you without having some sort of online presence. What my advice would be...
And when you say online presence, do you mean social media?
Well, it really depends on what you're doing. But you need, these days, you've got to have a social media page. Now, it depends, for example, for me, for my industry, it's more LinkedIn. For you, it's Instagram. I'm not saying... I could also share on Instagram, of course, but my main network, clientele, the big companies that will be finding me, it's through LinkedIn.
I don't use that platform. Should I? Could you spend the next 2 minutes convincing me why I should use LinkedIn?
Look,
or why anyone should use it.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
We've got
all right. Because you just said something that really triggered me right now. Because it's like, oh my God, there's that other platform as well.
We've got to go back a bit.
Okay.
So basically, if someone is feeling overwhelmed and they're just starting out and they don't know where to begin, I would say start with the basics.
Okay.
Start with what you believe you can handle. There is absolutely no point in having a website that doesn't have all the basics covered. There's no point in having an online presence. The number of times I've seen you click on a website, the links are broken, the about you is not clear. It starts talking about where you studied at university. No one cares. No one cares where you studied at university. What can you give the client?
Wow.
What can you offer? What are your strengths? Why will the client benefit?
Okay.
Put stats on there. Put testimonials. You may have only had a couple of clients. Get those testimonials. Share them on there. If you can't do that alone, then you get someone to help you. Just like, for example, yes, I work alone, but I have an accountant, because without an accountant, I would be lost. When do I submit my taxes? When do I do this? When do I do that? How do I sign these forms, social insurance?
And it's also probably something that you do not want to take up much time and energy.
That's the thing. You've got to prioritize. I mean, sometimes I'm so busy that I barely remember that I've got to share something on social media. And then you think of your accounts and you think, okay, what is something that I can just give? I can just give to take that pressure off. You know, someone else for whatever it is, 100 euros a month can deal with that thing for me, so I can focus on what I do best. So if, you know, I don't know, I keep going back to food. I don't know if I'm feeling hungry, but let's just say you make cakes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've got a lovely website showcasing your cakes. You need to put the right content on there. If you don't have the right content, you've lost half the game. So you can get someone to help you with that. The photos. Invest in someone that's going to take really beautiful photos of your cakes. Because if you don't, you know, you might pay that person 500 euros and think, oh, what a shame. I don't really, but that will benefit you in the long run. You invest for it to benefit you later, because if you don't have the right photos on there, you don't have the right content on there, you don't have the right CTAs, which is calls to action, which I see all the time. Someone shared something, but where do I contact you? How do I find you? You know, how can I order your cake online? All those things matter. So you've got to cover the basics.
Yeah, how many times have we come across something and like, I really like that, and then you're like,
but where
do I get it? Where do I go?
Exactly. So get that sorted, then get your social media pages sorted, and do what you feel in the beginning comfortable doing, that you can handle. Like, think about what is, and again, a professional can help you. What's the most important social media channel to use for what you're doing and what you're offering?
So for me, I was going to say that even lately, someone did say to me, you know, you really need a separate Instagram page for the podcast.
Yes.
I know I do, but at the same time, I cannot handle another page. I can't handle another account. And it's the reason why I don't move into other territories. Probably why you triggered me with that whole LinkedIn thing as well, because I'm not on there.
It's okay. You sort the Instagram first.
Thank you. All right.
Do the Instagram first. There's nothing worse than going onto someone's LinkedIn page and it's empty. Or they don't share.
Exactly.
Or they don't post. It's better not to have a LinkedIn profile for you. For me, it wouldn't be a good idea.
But no, for me, I don't, I see the importance of having a separate, maybe Instagram account for Mamamo, but at the same time, I know that it will be abandoned.
Hang on a second. Is Mamamo Eleni Antoniou?
On social, I'm Georgie's mummy. I'm not even Mamamo.
Oh, you're Georgie's mummy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We might need to have a chat.
No.
You see, that's confusing.
That is confusing.
That's
confusing but the only good thing that I'm banking on is the fact that if you do Google Mamamo, it will come up with Mamamo podcast, and it will take you to the platform where the podcast is.
Okay.
But for me, as a one-woman show, you know, a very, very busy woman, I wouldn't have been able to deal with another account. So I just kept it all on the Georgie's mummy, and everything comes out from there.
You can just simply rename, just make sure that it's all connected to Mamamo. And then if you want a separate account as Georgie's mummy or Eleni Antoniou, which is more personal, it's sharing certain things, your life, your kids, blah, 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 then that's fine. You don't need to worry about how many times a week you share on that. That's more
true.
personal.
That's true. But also I'm I'm a bit confused. Am I Eleni Antoniou? Am I Mamamo? Am I Georgie's mummy? What am I? So far, it's worked for me just promoting me and my weird thoughts and the content that I want to create. So I haven't really even nailed down like my branding sort of thing.
So
ignore me. God, I'm giving her ideas. Ignore me. Can we, were you saying something, or can we go to the social media and the LinkedIn and all that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so what do different social media platforms mean different things and offer different things?
Definitely.
Okay.
Because it really depends, again, on your target audience. And that's why it all links back to what we were saying in the beginning. If you don't have your identity sorted out and you don't know your target audience, then everything else will become extremely difficult and you won't be doing it strategically. So, for example, baby boomers, they'll use Facebook and they'll put good morning and good night and, all of that stuff.
Gotta love the boomers.
Yeah, you gotta love the boomers, right? But some people want to target the boomers.
Yeah,
and
you're
so
right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Some people need to be very active, mostly companies, professionals maybe offering services similar to mine. You need to be active on LinkedIn. Something that I do not do enough. I know I don't do enough. And I've started saying to myself, I have to make it part of my monthly agenda. So making a note, because sometimes I'm so busy and I think, let me just finish that deadline and, know.
But isn't that another role? You're taking on another role.
You are, because if you were a big company, you would have a social media manager that would do it all for you, and you wouldn't have to worry about creating posts or what you're going to share. Because
exactly.
That brings us back to another thing that I was going to say before. Once you've got your social media sorted, you need to be consistent. You need to decide what you're going to be sharing consistently. And that also depends on your target audience, whether it's blog posts, whether it's photos, whether it's reels, etc. Whether it's carousels with some interesting infographics, some statistics. And you need to be doing it regularly. Yeah. You need to always stay front of mind, even in the times that you're busy, because there will come a time that you're not so busy and you'll think, if I'd have just kept it up, maybe another client, maybe someone else would have seen me, maybe I would have gained more followers. You need to always remain relevant as well. You need to keep on sharing things that are relevant to your industry, relevant insights, no matter what it is that you do. No matter what it is that you do. But sorry, I think I diverted a bit. Your question about what social media channel you should actually be using, right?
Because as you said now, it does, and I've noticed, and I think a lot of people have noticed who have either offer services or products, that actually posting on social media can be very time consuming.
Very.
And it's not an easy job. So when you're the creator of the thing that you're doing, in your instance, the copywriting and the content creation, in my instance, the podcast, it means that apart from getting this content out and using that creative side of my brain to create this, I also have to worry about posting and promoting on social media. So how do we narrow that time and energy that's not wasted? I know it's not wasted, but how do I narrow it down and funnel it to bring more juice back to me? You love me, don't you? I know.
Basically, obviously, you need to prioritize and you need to take a step-by-step approach.
Okay.
You need to start with the fundamentals, and you need to make sure that you track and you take note of everything you're doing and everything you need to be doing.
Okay.
Don't feel, because when you're working, I've felt it many times, when you're working by yourself, you feel like you are basically the whole company.
You are.
You are the creator, your client service, you're quite possibly dealing with invoicing, budgeting, proposals.
Tech problems.
Oh
my God.
Having to promote yourself and share on social media. So
there's so much behind the scenes that people don't see.
So much that you have to do. And you have to be your own boss. On top of that, to be disciplined enough that we'll talk about time management. So you've got to prioritize. So especially if you're starting out, you're starting out alone, don't try and do every single thing at once. Maybe when you grow your revenue a bit, you can start to think about where you're going to outsource, because social media is not easy for many people. They don't know how many times a week they should be sharing. They don't know what they should be sharing. I mean, what you really should try and do is, share insights that people might not know. Share value. Make people share your knowledge on something that people, have no idea about, or they've heard about, they're not sure about. Share knowledge, authentic insights. Share stats, share infographics, share something tangible if you're trying to attract new clients. Those are really important. The kind of thing that you share also depends on your target audience. So, for example, if you're targeting, let's say, 20-year-olds, okay, they're not going to sit and read a long blog article. They don't have the attention span.
Yeah.
They don't care. They want videos. They want reels. They want things with emojis. They want flashing. They want quick. They want fast. That's all they care about. So you have to think about who you're targeting. If, however, you're targeting, let's say, an older audience, they might be in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, you can start to look into other things that you should be sharing. You can share informative blog articles. Again, you have to think of, who am I targeting? Am I targeting a very knowledgeable, educated audience? Then I have to change my tone of voice. The kind of tone of voice that you're going to use for a 20-year-old, hey, what's up, cool, blah, 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 is not the same kind of tone of voice that you will use to attract an older audience. You have to think of all those things, which is why it's so important to think about your audience. And then you'll find, when you know your audience, you don't have to try and do everything.
Okay.
Focus on the most important things that your target audience will find interesting.
Okay.
All
right.
That's quite important. Again, it's hard to figure these things out alone.
It is hard, and also you can feel very disempowered as well when the algorithm isn't in your favor, and you're not scoring all the likes that you wish that you were, and the shares and all that.
Another thing I wanted to say is keep it simple. Most important thing is, no matter what you're doing, try and keep it simple. If you think that you want to share, you want to share 5 tips about how you make your organic cakes. I'm going back to cakes again.
We have to get a cake after this.
Yeah, we have to get a cake after this.
Okay.
That's what you do, yeah? You make these beautiful cakes and you use organic ingredients and you want to share certain tips with people. Don't write, 3 pages and no one's going to read it. If you want to share a reel, if you want to share some infographics or a carousel, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Share a couple of lines. Obviously not if you're writing a blog article, but for a social media post, how many times have you seen someone, and I'm sure people spend a lot of time and effort doing this, and they write a few paragraphs. No one will read it.
That's true.
No one will read it.
That's true. And as you said earlier, attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And if you want to get your message through, it can't be long and complicated. And you can't make that person who's going to read or watch feel that they're wasting their time.
No, exactly. Because time is so precious. And people are inundated with things on social media. Absolutely inundated. So I'm going back to this example of someone that makes these beautiful cakes. What makes you special? Is it the design of your cakes? Is it the most unusual design? Share a nice photo, a nice video behind the scenes of you making this beautiful design with one line.
Yeah.
One line, one catchy line, one photo or video, even better. And people will pay attention.
Yeah.
So sometimes keeping it simple is much more effective than trying to be
overly
complicated.
Agreed. Yeah. Right. Can we get to the time management? Because I feel that is something that is big. So you wake up in the morning. I was going to sing now, but I'm not. You wake up in the morning. How easy is it to say, because you don't have to go to work, you don't have to clock in and clock out. How easy is it to get distracted? How easy or how difficult is it to stay on track and keep that schedule and achieve the goals and tick all the things that you've put on your to-do list for that day?
So...
Because I was going to say that one of the things that would probably scare me as a freelancer is that being disciplined. And I feel that you're going to use that word now. Yeah, you are.
Luckily, I don't know if it's probably because I was so used to it for so many years. And, when I was working in my previous company, I was in a position where, I didn't have my manager every day saying, did you do this? Did you do that? It was my responsibility. It was my responsibility to write down the agenda of the week, of the day, etc. Make sure that certain things got done, tick them off the list. So I became accustomed to it.
So you developed those organizational skills.
Yeah, I did develop those organizational skills. Of course, I know that there's some people that struggle with it more because when it comes to my work, I do tend to be organized and disciplined. So, but when you're working for yourself at home, I know some people find it exceptionally difficult. And it's very easy to get distracted. You think, oh, let me step outside. The plants need watering. Let me just put the washing machine on.
Yeah, the dog needs a walk.
The dog needs a walk. Yeah. So what I do, because my office is at home, I don't pretend like I'm going to work. I am going to work. I'm stepping into my office from 9 to 5 or 6, and I'm at work.
Okay.
If a friend calls me up because they want to go for coffee, I can't. I'm at work.
Okay.
If
do you do the whole thing of getting dressed as well, and like you're going to work?
I mostly
because I've heard that pajamas can be a distraction.
They absolutely can, and there's some times where you just don't feel like it, or it's cold outside and you just want to stay in your PJs. But I really find that it doesn't help at all because I need to be professional now. I need to get on with my work. When you're wearing your comfy hoodie and your pajamas, it's like, oh, you just want to go and chill on the couch. Yeah.
And also you wreck it for the after work part.
When you want to
put the comfy loungy PJs on.
That's also extremely hard. So that's what I find difficult. So I'm good with the discipline, and I work 9 to 5, 9 to 6 or 7 if I need to. But then I make sure I close my laptop, but it doesn't mean it's easy to switch off because I've just been working at home.
Yeah.
So even if I go down to the living room, my mind is still full of, work and deadlines and looking at my phone in case the client emailed back. Switching off when you work for yourself and work from home is extremely difficult because when I used to leave the office, it was, okay, I'm leaving that. I'm closing the door. It's a Friday. Bye-bye office. Yeah. Bye-bye work. It's the weekend. Yeah. It's not like that when you work for yourself and you're always thinking about the next thing that you could or should be doing because there's always something. Yep. There's always something that you could be doing to help yourself.
The whole hustle culture that we have.
To help your business. But because last year when I was starting out, there were a couple of months that I worked so much, like during the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, evenings. And I got to the point where I was like, this is not healthy. I'm not doing anything for myself at the weekend. I'm not switching off. And I felt that I wasn't quite so happy when I was working because I've just been doing it 24/7 every single day. So what I've started doing is, as I am my own manager, I give myself time off. I say to myself, right, when are you taking your summer holidays? Get organized. Let all your clients know. 2 weeks in the summer, I'm off between these and these days. If you would like something, please let me know in advance. So I'm off. Just like I set the out of office when I was working in a company, I set the out of office in the same exact way. Okay. And I don't answer emails at the weekend unless it's something exceptionally urgent. Okay. But most clients also respect that and they want their time off, So you have to set boundaries. You have to motivate yourself to be disciplined and follow a schedule. I read something once that's quite funny, and it said people are more likely to be millionaires if they make their bed every single day.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's about routine and discipline, just like with everything in life. If you think about it, if you exercise once every couple of weeks when you feel like it, it's not really going to make a difference to your overall well-being. Whereas if you say, right, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to my yoga class, you're going to get into that pattern, get into the habit, get into the routine, and then you'll start craving it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with your diet, with the food that you eat. You can't be consistent and feel like you're eating good food if one day you eat well, the next day you eat junk. No, you follow that routine and then you say, I'm having my treat days at the weekend. You know, it's the same thing. I find it's the same thing when you're working.
Discipline is huge.
Discipline. You have to just keep on.
And again, I feel that it's something that we're not really promoting within our culture, within society. Because it's sort of like you have to do this, you have to do that, but there's no incentive to make me want to do that unless it's, you know, presented to me like you just said now.
No, sorry. Yeah, continue. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, because now I'm thinking about it from, you know, the kids' point of view as well. You know, I could go on and on and on to my kids, you know, do this, do that, do this, do that. If I don't explain why they need to be doing this and why discipline is important, then are they really going to get it? No.
No. And until they see how it might benefit them as well, you know, because discipline is not just about, I have to be disciplined in order to make other people happy. I do believe that once you have a structure and a routine, just like they say with kids, kids thrive with a structure and routine.
So true.
I think that I'm not going to talk about all adults because some people really can't handle structure and routine. And, you know, there's reasons for that and they'll have to find other ways of dealing with things. But I think a lot of people thrive with structure and routine. If you were trying to work on your own and one day you started working at 10 in the morning, the next day you started working at 2 in the afternoon, the next day you left it until the evening, well, you'd end up confused.
Yeah.
You would end up not enjoying your free time because work would eat into your free time if you left things and then, you know, you weren't disciplined and then you had to cram it into your weekend. Yeah, but when family and friends want to see you at the weekend, then you're going to be busy because you didn't do it during the week. So all those things matter. But also I find that when you're running your own business, when you're working for yourself, discipline matters when it comes to your clients and when it comes to good customer relations. If my client wants to speak to me during working hours and I'm still in bed asleep because I think, I'm working for myself, I'll start working at 11. But the client has an emergency or they want something from me ASAP and they're wondering if I can do it, or they need something changed and they want to speak to me. I need to be there. I need to be available during working hours. I can't be off at the beach. Unless I've, you know, sent an email, I'm out of office today, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. That's different. But and that brings me on to another thing which I often think about is that you have to, you have to also be disciplined. Like, people underestimate the power of customer service. We spoke about everything else, your brand identity, how to communicate your values, your social media presence. They're all hugely important. But if you don't have good relationships with your customers, with your clients, if you do not answer when they call because you forget, if you don't reply to their email and they're waiting for a response, wondering, did she get our email? Did she not get? If they've asked you for a proposal and you don't send that proposal when you say you're going to send it, those things, I honestly think they're probably matter even more than the rest. Like you can't deliver a good product no matter what you're doing without being respectful and disciplined and on time. I have a rule with myself that if a client emails me, I have to answer that day. It doesn't matter how busy I am, I will send a response. I'll say thank you for your email. You know, I've read your request for content creation for your website. I will review it. So you've shown that you've respected them.
Yeah.
You've acknowledged they sent you something. Thank you very much. I'll review it and I will get back to you within the week. If I don't think I can get back within the week, I won't say it. I'll say I'll get back to you next Monday. I'd rather give myself more time because, Eleni, I think it's because I get so irritated when people don't answer me.
I was going to say...
I can't take it. I can't take it.
Sometimes when you're so conscious and so sensitive to certain things...
Yep.
You damn well make sure that you are not the person who will be instigating something like that to someone else.
Yeah.
But what you just said about you have this rule with emails, you know, you hear about emails and you might think that it's such a small part in the grand scheme of all that we're talking about, but it can actually be quite fucking stressful. I mean, like literally saying, okay, I've just opened that email, writing down, I've got it on my list that I need to reply to that person. Chances are that I'll probably forget because I'll go home and I'll have other stuff to do.
Leave it as unread in your inbox. Even if you've seen it, leave it as unread.
Yeah, or do exactly what you said now. How long would it take me to literally just reply, thank you?
Exactly.
I got your email. I will reply to you by the end of the week or next week and then put it in the diary as something that I need to do.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that. The same goes with a lot of private messages that I get from my stories. So many times people asking me things or making little comments and I'm like, did I reply? Did I answer? Did I give that I was supposed to do? And I found that if you do it at the moment that you've seen it,
exactly,
then that means it's out of mind and out of sight.
Exactly.
It's been done. You can tick it off.
Exactly. So just a small thank you. Thank you for your email. I've read your or if it's a comment, you know, or a message and you need more time to think about it. You can't reply. But just, you know, these days you can send automated responses.
Yeah.
But with emails, no, there's nothing quite like. And this brings us on to another subject, but I think a lot of clients, they want to know that they're dealing with you, that you've read their request. It's not just some automated reply. You have acknowledged them. You're saying, I respect you.
You matter.
You matter. I thank you for reaching out to me. I would love to collaborate. You're showing them that you're obviously busy. So I will review and revert by Friday or by, you know, that's all you have to do.
But I was also thinking now about, you know, when you hear about time management and, you know, time blocking as well, I think it's called something like that. And saying, you know, that you should reply to all your emails within 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. You should do all your social media between 10 and 11. And then you should do all your writing between 12 and 3. And I've always had an issue with that. And I don't know, I'm guessing that you're going to agree with me, that when you are a creative person, you cannot force yourself to be creative at 12 o'clock until 3 o'clock.
You can't.
So what I'm getting from you is that, say, I don't have 1 hour to do this, 1 hour to do that, and 1 hour to do the other. What I should be saying is that I've got 3 hours and these are the things that I need to do. And it's okay if I do that first or that second or that third.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Because for me, I'm a morning person. I'm much better at being creative and writing in the morning. I can honestly do double, triple the work in the morning that I would be able to do in the afternoon. I'm alert, I'm fresh, and everything just flows. I'm like, wow, I've done so much. And then after I have my lunch, have my cup of tea, okay, I'm still alert. But after 3, 4 o'clock, I just start to...
3, that time.
It's horrible. That's when you start reaching for the biscuits and something to give you an energy boost.
And you're like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. That's
exactly.
it.
But that is when you can say, okay, I won't do. So in my case, it's my writing. I need to be fully focused when I'm doing my writing, but I can do other things.
Yeah.
I can answer an email at 3 o'clock. You know, I can quickly share an article that I liked on LinkedIn. I can do that. It doesn't take that much. You know, I don't need to be so alert.
Yeah.
I can call my accountant and ask him a question. Like I can do all those other things.
Yeah.
So,
I'm coming to this realization, Zoe, I really, really am. There's certain things I can do in the morning according to my cognitive abilities at that time. And then after 3, when I get home with the kids, there are other easier tasks that I could do that don't require that
exactly.
sharpness.
Yeah, exactly. So I think everyone's different. You know, some people work much better in the afternoon and they'll do just some organizing in the morning. That's fine too.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out what your pattern is. As long as you're consistent, then work according to your pattern, to your rhythms.
Do you believe in to-do lists?
Yes.
Ooh, her eyes just went, ooh, you're speaking the language of love to me. Really?
I honestly think that
where would you be without to-do lists? Is that it?
It would be hard to, like, honestly, I don't know how many to-do lists I have. Eleni, I think it could be a problem.
I'm pretty sure I know, and I'm going to guess that they're written pen to paper.
100%. I mean, I use technology, you know, for my work, but when it comes to also for my work, but writing down my list. So I've got but it's not just lists for everything. So obviously I have work lists. I have jobs that need to get done in the house. I have supermarket lists. I have lists for how I want to transform the garden. I have lists for what I'm going to do during my holidays. I have lists for my health and well-being. Eleni, I don't know.
You know, I know you, and I know that is so true.
It's sad. And
it's not sad. It's me as well. I've got a notebook for the kids. I've got a notebook for work.
Everything.
I've got a notebook for the house. I've got a notebook. Yeah,
other appointments that you need, your health, everything. I mean, anyway, so... But what I was going to say is that some people think, okay, I have all these deadlines coming up or all these things I have to do. How do I even prioritize them on the list? And something that I found very useful, I know it might not be useful for everyone, but then create, which is also important for the vision that you have for your business. So let's say you're starting out and you're overwhelmed. You have so many things that you know that you need to get done. And you have an idea of where you'd like to be. You have an idea of where you'd like to be in 1 year and where you'd like to be in 5 years. Hopefully, if you don't have that idea, think about it. Make sure you have a clear vision, but then let it go. That where you need to be in 5 years doesn't matter in this second. What matters in this second that you need to take the right steps towards where you need to be in 5 years. So break it down. So in order to be in that place in 5 years, in order to fulfill your vision, or in 1 year, think about what you need to do this month. What are the baby steps that you need to take? So write down that list. And then you look at that list and it's still overwhelming. You think, oh God, can I do all this in 1 month? Break it down again. What do I need to get done this week? I need to speak to so-and-so. I need to share this on my social media. I need to complete this task and I need to deliver this project to this client. That's what I need to do this week. And then prioritize again. What do I need to do on Monday? On Monday, I need to do this and I need to speak to my accountant.
So keep breaking down.
Breaking it down. Keep breaking it down until it becomes manageable. That's what I find really, really helps. But, you know, baby steps. And it's the same with someone that thinks, oh, my goodness, am I ever going to get to... If you had asked me when I left my job, if I thought I would be where I am right now, working with the clients that I'm working with, I wouldn't even been able to answer you because I started with a blank slate, you know?
Yeah.
And the moment I got that one client and that one successful job and sent my first invoice, I started to then look at the next month after that, step by step. Oh, now I have two clients. Okay. And now I have 3. And I'm still not where I need to be. And I'm still not where I need to be financially, let's say, how I was 3-4 months in. But I could look at the progress and say, right, baby steps. And I just got some really nice feedback for that project. Great. Baby steps, baby steps until they become bigger steps. Yeah. You know, step by step by step by step.
I'm a firm believer in baby steps. I really am. I always say about the podcast as well. looking at the prospect of doing a podcast meant studios and equipment and producers and microphones and all this scary stuff that I had no idea about. I had to break it down.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to break it down. I had to take it to strip it bare to the absolute basics. And that's what I did. I can record on my phone. Lovely. I'll go get a mobile interview kit, put it on my phone, pick up my guest in my car. My car was my sound booth. That is where I recorded. Because I literally knew that the mountain that I was looking at was just, there was no way I was going to reach that top without taking baby steps.
Exactly. It's like with anything you do, you have to approach it with baby steps. And I think it's also really important to reward yourself by tracking your progress. So, when I left my job and I went from a very nice, a comfortable salary, and I left and I was, walking towards the unemployment office and I need unemployment benefit, I felt awful inside. I felt like, what on earth am I doing?
Yeah.
And, the next month came and obviously, you're just waiting for money to trickle in, and you feel stressed and you feel upset. You might question what you're doing. I questioned what I was doing. I really did. There were times when I was like, was this the right choice? Oh God. I lost my sleep. I felt horrible for a while. But then when you see that certain things are starting to work, note them down, track them down, put them into an Excel. I made a little graph and I was like, okay, so step by step, I've reached this point. And when I saw that it was growing, I might not have been, if we say financially, I might not have been financially after 3 months of leaving my job. I might not have been making the same salary yet, but I was like, if I'm progressing this much, then it means that in 6 months' time, I should be where I need to be, for example, So reward yourself, look at the bigger picture and say, look at what I've done, look at what I've learned. Or I didn't know how to do certain things when it came to financials or social insurance. What? Pay my own social insurance? I just used to have the accountant down in the office do everything. And even when I had to submit my taxes, she helped me do it. Now I have to do it all by myself. But you learn step by step.
You do.
And then, like you said, baby steps.
So, all right. Someone who's just listened to us, if they want to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
They can visit my new website.
Okay, which I will put in the show notes.
Brilliant. So, it's zoechristodoulides.com. And they'll find all my contact details. They can send me an email. They can give me a call. And, have a look at all my services. Yeah, I did have a look at the website. It's amazing. Oh, thank you. Everything is there. Everything that you need to know. You ticked all the boxes. Thank you very much. I think it wouldn't have been so good for me if I didn't, given the fact that I am a constant. Yeah. Can you imagine me coming back to you and say, oh, you know what? I didn't find that. Or it was really badly written. No, it was lovely. Big letters from my old eyes. Lovely colours and to the point. Not too fussy. Loved it. So if you do want to contact Zoe, I will put the website in the show notes so you can find that. And thank you. Thank you. It's been so nice talking to you. It's best Friday morning. Yes. There you go. Brilliant. Brilliant start to the weekend, isn't it? Excellent start. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.